A squat is a strength exercise in which the trainee lowers their hips from a standing position and then stands back up. During the descent of a squat, the hip and knee joints flex while the ankle joint dorsiflexes. Conversely, the hip and knee joints extend and the ankle joint plantarflexes when standing up. Squats are considered a vital exercise for increasing the strength and size of the lower body muscles as well as developing core strength. The primary agonist muscles used during the squat are the quadriceps femoris, the adductor magnus, and the gluteus maximus. The squat also isometrically uses the erector spinae and the abdominal muscles, among others. The squat is one of the three lifts in the strength sport of powerlifting, together with the deadlift and the bench press. It is also considered a staple exercise in many popular recreational exercise programs. The movement begins from a standing position. Weight is often added, typically in the form of a loaded barbell, but dumbbells and kettlebells may also be used. When a barbell is used, it may be braced across the upper trapezius muscle, which is termed a high bar squat, or held lower across the rear deltoids, termed a low bar squat. The movement is initiated by moving the hips back and bending the knees and hips to lower the torso and accompanying weight, then returning to the upright position. Common errors of squat form include descending too rapidly and flexing the torso too far forward. Rapid descent risks being unable to complete the lift or causing injury. This occurs when the descent causes the squatting muscles to relax and tightness at the bottom is lost as a result. Overflexing the torso greatly increases the forces exerted on the lower back, risking a spinal disc herniation. Another error is when the knee is not aligned with the direction of the toes, entering a valgus position, which can adversely stress the knee joint. An additional common error is the raising of heels off the floor, which reduces the contribution of the gluteus muscles. Today, we're going to talk about the history behind the squat. Strength training is not a new concept. Historians have found references to feats of strength and weightlifting competitions dating as far back as the 3600 BC. Military recruits for the ancient Chinese Zhou dynasty 1122-249 BC were required to pass specific strength tests before they were allowed to join. Strength training has always been a way of life for humans. The way we go about improving physical fitness is always evolving. The use of barbell training is still a new concept relative to the long history of man. The spark I pose a question for your readers: who invented the barbell? You see it at every commercial gym and CrossFit box. The answer to that question dates back to the 11th century. Indian wrestlers, for example, are known to have used sumtol as a wooden log with carved holes for handles as far back as the 11th century AD 3. While iron dumbbells could be purchased in most major cities across the world by the mid-1800s, barbells were still extremely rare. The first mention of the use of barbells is said to have come from a professional strongman in France by the name of Hippolyte Trait. His gym boasted many spherical-ended barbells, which he called bars et spheres de 6 kilos. By 1900, barbells were becoming more prevalent across Europe. However, the same equipment was nearly impossible to find at the time in America. A man by the name of Alan Calvert set out to solve this problem. In 1902 he opened the historical Milo Barbell Company in Philadelphia. Named after the ancient Greek athlete Milo of Crotona, this company would introduce to the United States the first commercially manufactured barbell set. Along with the purchase of the barbell, it would come featuring a free weight training course, the first widely available course in the country. The Milo Barbell Company published the first strength training and bodybuilding magazine, Strength. This magazine sparked the rise in popularity of barbell training in the United States in the early 1900s. The evolution of the squat in the early 1900s, the lift we know today as the back squat was actually called the deep knee bend. It was performed on the toes with the heels together. Lifters would use lightweight and squat on their toes for many repetitions. At the time, no one was squatting massive weight with this method. There was no way to hoist much weight on your back because squat racks had not yet been invented. The deep knee bend was described in the first course in bodybuilding and muscle developing exercises, issued by the Milo Barbell Company in 1915. Around the time of World War I, many in Europe had started performing the squat, as we know it today, as a competitive lift. Our first known reference to the use of the squat in a weightlifting competition came in 1919 Germany when Karl Mork defeated Hermann Gorner in one-on-one contest by squatting 240 kilograms or 529 pounds. After the war, a German immigrant by the name of Henry Steinborn came to the United States in 1921. Steinborn is credited for bringing with him this newly developed lift. In 1921 he was featured in the now popular Strength magazine. Alan Calvert boasted of his enormous strength and tremendous physique acquired through weight training. In the article, Calvert recalls a new lift performed by Steinborn called the squat. At the time it was even placed in quotations because of its obscurity. This marks one of the first known usages of the word squatting as a weight training exercise. Up until this point, if you wanted to perform the squat, you had to use a fairly crude method to get the bar onto your back. Remember, the modern squat rack had not yet been invented. Most people at this time elected to clean the barbell to the shoulders and then perform a small overhead press in order to bring the bar to rest on the upper back. As you can guess, this method greatly limited the amount of weight that could be lifted. Steinborn was well known at this time for his awkward but revolutionary new method for shouldering the weighted barbell. In order to place the barbell on his upper back, Steinborn would upend the loaded barbell to one side. He then squatted sideways and slowly lowered the vertical bar onto his back to the tops of his shoulders. As the bar lowered to his shoulders, he would drop into the bottom of the squat. From this bottom position he would then stand up with the loaded barbell upon his back. At only 5 feet 8 inches and 210 pounds, Steinborn claimed that he could lift 530 pounds in this manner. In the later 1920s and into the 1930s, the use of the squat continued to grow as a staple of weight training programs. Around this time, commercialized squat racks would appear in training halls across the world, allowing lifters to hoist even more weight on their backs. Weightlifters and bodybuilders alike began to take up the squat and make it an important part of their training programs. From this point on, the squat was here to stay.